I'm Madison.
And I'm Caitlin.
Welcome to the What We Carry Together podcast.
Because no one should have to carry it alone. Everyone, this is going to be a little bit more of a podcast episode because we haven't recorded in a little while. So we're going to need to catch up on Maddie's orientation, her actually taking the medication, her drive up to Minnesota, and now she is having regular check-ins while she's doing these hormone injections. So, Maddie, do you want to start off talking about when you did go to up to orientation?
Yes. So we went at the end of June and quick trip. And basically, while we were there, they walked us through what it was going to be like what this process was going to be like, which was really helpful because I had no idea. Like they held up a calendar and like the calendar is what they update on my chart. And it tells you what medicines you're taking on which day, what days you're getting blood tests, and what days you're getting ultrasounds. And then it's all tentative. It can be changed. And then they showed us how to administer each medication, which is good because Mills is the one that's been doing it to me. And then they also did a base level vaginal ultrasound to count how many follicles they could see. And they found 17, I think, for the baseline.
Nice. That's a good
Yeah, they
baseline,
wanted
right?
between 10 and 20.
So that's awesome. That was
Yeah.
great. And then, so from there, you had not started the oral birth control at that point, or had you?
I had,
You had,
and
okay.
I stopped
Oh, that's
it
right. Yeah, that's right.
on the 30th. So June 30th, I stopped, was my last time taking it. And so I didn't take it the first or the second.
Okay.
And the
then
third is
today,
when I started all my medication.
okay. And then today, today's July 10th. So that kind of helps put in perspective where we're at with everything. And then, so once you got back from orientation, I know that was a hard time, right? Just the waiting.
Yeah, because it felt like purgatory.
Mhm.
And the birth control, I was still taking it and it really affected my hormones a lot. I mean, I can feel being off of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like sitting there twiddling my thumbs. What do I do during this time where we just have to hurry up and wait for getting to Minnesota?
Mm-hmm.
So,
And then, so from there, so then you had that wait period, and then you went back up, and you guys drove from Charlotte to Minnesota, right?
we drove from North Carolina to Minnesota, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you want to talk about why you guys drove?
We drove because we had a lot of medication a lot of it needed to be cold, kept in a certain temperature. And we also were going to be here they said, we're going to come in for our first appointment or my first blood draw, the 3rd. Or I started the medication the 3rd, first blood draw the 4th. So we wanted to be here by the 3rd, which meant that, and then they said your retrieval will be sometime the week of the 12th. So it could be the end of the week, the beginning of the week. So we needed to bring a lot of things because we got here the 2nd. We've been here for 8 days already.
Mm.
So we needed to bring a lot of things. And we also just made fun of it. Like we made it something fun.
Right. Because, you were up there for July 4th and doing injections and everything.
We made the road trip as fun as we could.
Oh,
too.
yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you guys stopped at Buc-ee's and,
Yeah.
you
Mills
stopped
was
where?
by that jerky counter.
Yeah.
He's
And then you guys
obsessed
were,
with jerky.
you went to Indianapolis and Chicago,
Yeah,
right?
we spent the night in Indianapolis, and then we stopped in Chicago and got some deep dish pizza and a chicken cutlet sandwich, and that was really fun. I love Chicago. We might go there on the way back, depending on how I'm feeling, but we just were there for a few hours and then carried on to Minnesota. The drive through Wisconsin was beautiful, and then we finally got here on the 2nd.
And then walking into the Airbnb, how were you feeling?
I felt fine on the ride here. Well, no, I felt a little nervous, but I was also just really excited to be taking steps. But when I
Sure.
got into the Airbnb, I felt the gravity. Oh, we're here. This is really happening. And I started to get really frightened. And so I had a lot of anxiety the first night. And Mills was great about calming my anxiety and doing his best to keep me in a good headspace, whether that would be doing puzzles or reading a devotional or watching something on TV. Just keeping my mind busy was really important.
He has been really great. He's a great partner.
Yeah, he is.
And then do you also want to kind of go over the medications that you are on?
Yeah. So I start on the 3rd. I started Minipur, Pravera, Lovenox, and Follistim. And so Follistim, Minipur, and Lovenox are all shots, and Pravera is a pill. And so basically, your brain tells you to grow one follicle every month. And the follistim tells your brain to grow multiple follicles. And then the Minipur encourages the follicles to grow healthy eggs. And then the Lovenox is specific to my cycle. It's a blood thinner. So God forbid if I do or did have a dissection, it would thin my blood to prevent clots, which is really important because
Mhm.
in a dissection, your artery tears and a clot could be really dangerous. And so I started those and then went in for labs on the 4th and was really stressed out because they didn't want my estradiol levels to get really high, my estrogen. And they noticed, okay, they took blood and they said, you're responding to the medication. They immediately messaged me, my team, through the app and said, you can go ahead and start the letrozole. And that brought some relief because the letrozole is what keeps my estrogen levels low while allowing my follicles to still multiply and grow. So the letrozole is specific to my cycle. And I felt a lot more relaxed once I was able to start taking that.
So, I mean, and I'm sure hearing that your estradiol level was increasing was exciting, but also scary, right?
Yeah. And I didn't talk to a doctor until today, and she put into perspective that my level, even though it was outside of the range, which it's supposed to be when you're going through IVF, it's still definitely very low compared to someone who's pregnant, and then
Mhm.
a lot lower even than someone just going through a normal egg retrieval.
And then, so, for everyone, when you take any type of birth control, hormonal birth control, that it does, if you read the labels and the warnings, it talks about risk of increase in blood pressure and risk of stroke. And then for you that's why it is so, this whole process is so risky because you are already at a high risk of having, blood pressure issues, and your arteries that lead to your brain, the vertebral arteries, are already weakened in those two spots from your previous dissections. And so you are at risk for all those things that, all the doctors that were concerned about doing this from the
Yeah.
get-go, they talked about the TIAs, the mini strokes, the dissections, and that spontaneous coronary artery dissection. So, I mean, I can only imagine like the excitement to know that things are working, but also kind of like the fear that would go along with that level, hearing that level
Yeah.
being
And
higher.
it's wild.
And then you heard that, so you heard the levels went up on Monday, right? And then you didn't talk to a doctor till today, which is Friday. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can message them. They're very responsive about answering my questions, but it was really helpful today. So I went in and got another ultrasound. I got my 3rd vaginal ultrasound today since first getting here on the 3rd. And I also got blood drawn and then saw the doctor after, and it was really relaxing to see the doctor. And she said to me, "You're far from the riskiest case I've seen this week."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so it really just explains her calm demeanor. It gave me I hate that it's
Yeah.
so awful because I know how much stress and things I've endured. So it breaks my heart, and it just really also put a lot into perspective, and it made me feel like, okay, these people know what they're doing.
Right.
They know what they're talking
Absolutely.
about. And it just really brought me a lot of comfort, and they're not stressed about it at all. And to the point where Mills and I are like, okay, well, stopping the blood thinner before surgery. And they're like, yeah, we will update the calendar, but we pay extra special attention to people that are on anticoagulants going into this procedure. We pay attention to everyone, but extra special attention to them. And so the things that Mills and I are so stressed about is just another day in the office for them.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that is really I mean, because obviously you are a very risky case, but then to
Yeah.
hear that there's other people that are, I mean, that just kind of shows you what a miracle of a place Mayo Clinic is. That because I mean, the desire to have a child is so strong and real, and that they know that, and that they're willing to help
Do what they can to make it happen. And they just have
Yes.
such a huge team, and everything is so beautiful in there, all the way down to like the stickers and candy that they have. And it says, need serotonin, check here. And they have the
Oh,
same front office staff that are all really kind. And I just feel a lot more at ease when we're here. And it's crazy. You were talking about the risk level. Well, so in Charlotte, the endocrinologist that I spoke with was willing to say, okay, like how I said, the follistim encourages multiple follicles to grow. The endocrinologist there was like, the most I feel comfortable doing is keeping you overnight, doing it outpatient or in the hospital, keeping you overnight, and no hormones. So I would just grow that one follicle that you do every month. And that's what she would take out. So who even knew if it had an egg, the chances, the percentages, every stage you go
Mhm.
through, drop and drop and drop. And she was just like,
Wanting to
we'll
start
do
with
one
one.
follicle.
Yeah.
And I was still going to do it. And even when I told her I was going to do it, she was like, I really want you to think about the risk here. So then coming to Mayo Clinic, I was afraid, but then I realized that they're equipped to do it here. And
Mhm.
and I think the doctor in Charlotte was incredible on doing her best and just wanting to be completely honest with what she felt comfortable and equipped to do.
Mm.
So,
And I mean, she's probably, I would imagine just used to doing people that, were relatively healthy but have fertility issues,
no,
right?
the one in Charlotte dealt with cardio. She was
Uh,
cardio
okay.
specific. And so she has
Okay.
dealt with people who've had heart attacks from the hormones.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
not many because it's a rare thing. And I don't even
Right.
know if they were SCAD or,
Mhm.
but she was just very of the opinion that if you can be a mom anyway, other ways, why
Sure.
are you going to put yourself at risk? Whereas Mayo Clinic was like, this isn't risky, or it's risky, but we can do
Relative to
this.
what they're used to.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
Does that make you feel more comfortable that I told you?
Yeah, honestly, a
Yeah.
lot. I mean, it in like what you're saying, it is sad that for those other people that you're not the riskiest case because honestly, the amount of anxiety that I've had about you going through this, I
Yeah.
mean, I can't even imagine like what the other like the
Cases
situation of
are, yeah.
right. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, that does make me feel better. I'm sure it made you feel
Yeah. And I think it
more
brought
at
Mills
peace.
some peace too. And
Mhm.
so that made me feel more comfortable, and I can't explain it. I call it the Disney World of hospitals because I've been on such a hospital tour, but Mayo Clinic really is the best. I mean, they treat you like you're the only patient there, but there are patients everywhere.
Mhm.
And when I have to get blood drawn, I go to the same room that everybody else goes to, regardless of what's going on. And you see some really, really sick people, and they don't invalidate what I'm going through. They take it just as seriously. And then I see the really sick people where I'm giving blood, and it just really puts things in perspective too. Because, like I said before, I'm struggling to create a life, and they're struggling to fight for their life. So that's a really wild perspective. And
Yeah.
Mayo Clinic gives so many people hope
Mhm.
that have lost it.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I just love it. I have such peace when I walk in there because this feels normal to me. I've been going to hospitals on and off for 6 years doing different
Right.
tests because when I had my first dissection, they didn't know what was going on. So I saw all those different doctors. I went to the emergency room so many times, and I had the second one. And then I was admitted multiple times because of my dissections and pain. And then we did the hospital tour to figure out what was going on. And so coming here just feels like, oh, yeah, it's another trip to Mayo Clinic. And I just really feel relaxed here, and I don't even know where I was going with that, but it just feels like another trip. Like this isn't
Mhm.
odd to be here.
Mhm. But it, like, puts you at like, it's helped take some of the anxiety away that you were feeling when you were back home
Yeah, and
before you got
I
there.
was saying if we had done it at home and monitored the beginning at home, we would have been driving to uptown every day or every time, and then I would have had to it would have just been too
Mhm.
much, and it's just been so much. I think getting the Airbnb here has been best case scenario because we've kept routine. We start my medications at 8 p.m.
Mhm.
every night. We have dinner before that. We work remotely throughout the day, get done, go for a walk or do whatever to kind of decompress, and then make dinner and take my shots and medicine.
Mhm.
And then if I have a blood test or an ultrasound, we've scheduled it for first thing in the morning so we can come home and get back to work, which has also been, work has been really understanding, but it is crazy that when you're going through this process, you still have to show up. I mean, nobody wants to take vacation days for just trying to get pregnant or just trying to
Yeah.
create a baby. Nobody wants to take vacation days for that. And
Mhm.
so trying to work through it is really tough. And it's crazy that Mills is taking calls in the hallway of Mayo Clinic that, we got to do what
Mhm.
we got to do.
Right. I mean, it's really impressive, and I mean, it is great that you are able to do that, but yeah, I think it is good that you're there and you're not having, like, me pop over and, throw a
I would have
wrench
wanted to
in
go see
your
the
day
boys
or
like every
something.
day.
Yeah, right.
And so
Mhm.
it's been
And
And
like
I think I would have
routine is
just been,
so like, that
yeah,
is so nice to just have that. And so it kind of like helps bounce some
yeah.
stress out, I'm sure.
And I've had in the house that we're in, I have my second dissection while we were staying there. So I feel like taking medicine and like being in that same environment would have probably given me
You're
anxiety,
talking back
bringing
at
back,
home. Yeah.
yeah, if I had stayed at
Mm,
home. And
yeah.
so we've been able to focus on work and
Mhm.
the retrieval first and then work.
Mhm.
And at 8 p.m., we pray before we do the shots. We started that on like day 2, or we started praying after, but now we pray before and after. And we do the fall stem and then the Minipur, which burns, and then the Lovenox, which is the fattest needle out of the 3 and makes me bruise the most. And it's also causing
Mhm.
me to bruise all over because it's a blood thinner.
Mhm.
And I was really that I thought it would be a lot easier, if I'm being honest. And it's tough. I mean, doing 3 shots every single night is not fun. And
Mhm.
then some people have been reaching out to me with tips. And people are like, oh, have you iced before? Numb your skin before. And my doctor said I could do that. So that's been a huge help. I mean, I still feel when the medicine goes in that it's burning,
Mhm.
but with the needle part, that's been a huge help. I think I've counted and I've been stuck by a needle 26 times since I've been here, whether it be a shot or giving blood.
A lot. And then being on a
Yeah.
clip thinner on top of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So my follicle count, do you want to talk about my follicle
Yes.
counts?
Yes. Because you had another ultrasound today, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So my first follicle count was 17. That was at
Mhm.
orientation. And then I came back and she found, I can't remember,
You said it was 11.
11.
Mhm.
And then 2 of the 11 were not growing in comparison to the other 9.
And then also, so with that though, knowing that it was so it went from 17 to 11 with 2 of them not being like potentially working, but
Yeah.
also out of that 11, that means that not all 11 might contain an egg, correct? So like from that information, that was like best case scenario would be 11. So that was kind of a knock to you going from
Yeah.
17 to 11, correct? And then
Yeah,
really
so
9 kind
the
of. Yeah.
stages are how many follicles contain eggs, and she said about 70%. No, but she said
Okay.
it's such a guess. She said
Right.
we have patients that have way more. We have patients that have way less. She was like, me giving you a number is not, I cannot predict this. It's not a science.
Mhm.
And so then you see how many follicles have eggs, how many eggs are mature, then how many fertilize, then how many reach the blastocyst stage.
Mhm.
And then because we're doing surrogacy there, and I would want to do this anyways, they're sending them off for PGT, which is biopsy for genetical testing. And so then after all of that, you drop percentage of
Mhm.
eggs each time you go and embryos, then the chance of being successful in a transfer is 50%. So
Wow. Okay.
that's why it's really important to have, a lot of follicles. So
Mhm.
11 still wasn't bad. And I'm
Right.
sure there are people, if people listen to this podcast, like I'm sure people have had journeys where they've had way less or more.
Mhm.
But for me, just going through it the first time and just hearing that was my first drop in numbers that I
Yeah.
experienced, I was really stressed out about it. And I didn't talk
Mhm.
to a doctor that day. And I was like, am I doing something wrong? And then,
And then also though, like and not to say that it wouldn't be a big deal for someone that was going through IVF for like purely fertility issues, that wouldn't be a big deal to have to go through it again. But like just with I know you were kind of like, you ideally didn't want to do it more
yeah,
than once because you were just worried about like the risks of
yeah,
with your health, right? I
yeah.
mean, so that was like
And
really
if I
tough
come
hearing
back,
that.
we'll have to come back for another, 20 days or
All of this
so.
stuff, right?
And it is a lot. And so,
Mhm.
not to mention, like, the feeling in my stomach, I feel it. Well, I'll touch on that, but remind me to come back to talking about the feeling, the physical symptoms.
Okay. Yeah.
But the third ultrasound that I got was today, and she counted, and it's day 8, and they said day 8 is really important in the cycle, and it's when they kind of see, are you responding to the medication or not? Are we going to have a tough conversation or not? And so today, and what they do is they gave Mills a clipboard and the left columns left ovary, right columns right ovary. And they go through and they measure your follicles that are measurable. And then at the end, they'll tell you how many follicles you have that aren't measurable. And measurable means big enough to be worthy of trying to retrieve an egg from on retrieval day.
Mhm.
So on my right, I had 5 that were measurable. The biggest one was 18.7. The smallest one that was measurable was 12.2. And then I had 7 that were too small to be counted. And that means it was under 11. So some were close, some were like at 10. So they might still catch
Mhm.
up. And then on my left side, I had 9. So that is 14. And 4 follicles that were on my left side that were not measurable. And so the smallest follicle on my left side was 11.1 and the biggest one was 17.9.
Nice. So how many are we at now?
14, but then I have
14.
4
Okay.
on my left and 7 on my right that were too small to count, but could respond to the medicine and grow.
Mm-hmm.
But so when we went in with the doctor, the first thing she said was like, you can't obsess over the numbers. And I'm sure she's used to telling everyone
Mm-hmm.
this. She
Mm-hmm.
said at this stage, and Mills said, I'm so glad you told her that because she is in ChatGPT just trying to,
Yeah.
obsessing over this. And when it's the only numbers you have after having no answers
Mm-hmm.
for so long, it's really hard not to.
I mean,
But
who wouldn't be doing that? Yeah.
yeah, but it did feel like a answered prayer that
Mm-hmm.
I had an increase. And they got new
Mm-hmm.
equipment too. They had new equipment. And so they're like, maybe we're able to see better.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
that
awesome.
was
So when is your next ultrasound going to be?
so it was day 8. They said we could be having a tough conversation. She said, this is what I'm telling you. You are in a good space. We are happy with the way that you're responding to this. And so she said that I'm going to have to go in tomorrow for blood work. And I don't know if I'm getting an ultrasound or just blood work tomorrow. So I'm either going to take my trigger shot, which you take 2 days before the retrieval, either on tomorrow, which means my retrieval would be Monday, or I think Sunday, which means my retrieval will be Tuesday, based on right now.
Wow.
So yeah. And so they're like, we're very happy with how you're responding to everything.
Wow.
And we think that, we could possibly do this retrieval Monday or Tuesday.
Gosh. So I mean, and not to focus on the negative at all, but what would be the reason? What would show up that would make them say no? Can your numbers drop or?
No, I think that they just want as many of those. I mean, I don't know, but I think it's that they want as many of those follicles as possible to reach a certain size. So, for example, like the range, the biggest is 18.7, the smallest is 11.1, and so they want the one that's 11.1 to get bigger
Keep going
if possible.
up.
Yeah, because
Okay,
it'll make the
yeah.
retrieval easier. And so, and I have
Okay.
a lot that are around the 11, 12 stage.
Which
and
is at
so
that
they want them to
cutoff?
get, and
Yeah.
so they want those to get bigger. But yeah, so
That's awesome. So, and then the trigger shot. Do we know anything about that? Really?
yeah, Lupron is what my trigger shot is. And then they're going to message me that day. They message me every day and are say check your calendar for updates. So I'll check my calendar in my clinical notes and it will say the dosage of each medication I'm supposed to take and then what my appointments are for the next however many days. And then every day is subject to change. So they're going to message me, I think, and say, take your trigger shot tonight. And so they told us,
my gosh.
make sure that you have everything for the trigger shot because once or twice a year we have someone call us and they're supposed to take it at 8 p.m. and it's like 7:55 and they're like, we don't have the right syringe or we don't have.
And y'all have already checked all of that and you have it?
Who am I married to?
Yes.
I was like, have we even picked up the pen? And Mills was like, oh no, yeah, I've already made sure we have everything.
Eagle Scout is on it.
That's my Eagle Scout. So because I've just been drained of energy. I've been so exhausted. So he's been carrying a lot of the load. And I have told you, I haven't been drinking like any Diet Coke. If anything, I've had a little bit of one a day. And so, I mean, I'm just not
crazy. Crazy.
Yeah. My birthday, one of my friends made me a birthday cake in high school that was a case of Diet Cokes, modeled after a case of Diet Cokes.
She was, like some would say, addicted.
I was asked to prom by people spelling out prom with Diet Coke.
And you could drink a Diet Coke right before bed and it did not have any impact on you.
Hopefully, maybe I won't go back to that now that it's just been, I've been really tired and I've been getting some really good quality time with Mills. It stunk to be here for 4th of July, the 250th birthday of America. And we tried to make the most of it, though. We went to this place called Flap Doodles and got homemade ice cream. That was like the best ice cream I've ever had.
Nice.
Very weird name. And then we went to some abandoned parking lot to watch fireworks. And then we came back for 8 p.m. and I had my headband on, my 4th of July headband, and we did the shots.
Your injections, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm so excited for you. And do you do any of your other medications change with the trigger shot or
They said that it could or it couldn't. They might still need me to take Minipur. They might still need me to take Follistim. It just all depends on what my lab work shows. And then I guess what the team comes
is
up
a trigger
with.
shot just a lot of hormones or what is that?
That's such a great question.
And then you also, so most people that when they have the retrieval are not under general anesthesia, right?
No, they are.
Oh, everyone's under general anesthesia for retrieval? Okay.
Yeah. The needle is longer than my torso. They're under. Okay. So it causes your body to release a surge of LH, which helps the eggs complete their final maturation before retrieval. And and then my Provera I'm on, the pill I'm on is keeping me from ovulating. So it's keeping me from releasing the eggs that I'm
Oh, okay.
creating in my follicles, hopefully creating my follicles.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so but I think where you were going with anesthesia is other doctors that I asked to do this, they were worried about anesthesia
Okay, that's what okay, yeah, I remember there was
because
something.
they were like, if your head falls a weird way while you're getting it
Oh.
done. And then we brought that up to when we did our round, when we went to the neurologist, the cardiovascular doctor, and all of that, and at Mayo, one of them was like, we tell our anesthesiologists, our nurse anesthetist, whatever, we tell them, make sure this patient is da da da, and they just roll their eyes at us, or they could roll their eyes at us because these people are professionals. They know what they're
Mhm.
doing, and they are on you like the whole time that you're,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
under anesthesia. They know what they're doing. And Mills and
Right.
I just kind of, I haven't worried about
Side.
that since. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, relief. Okay. Well, that's great. Okay. Let's see.
Oh,
I
I
feel
was
like
telling
there
you
was
what I
something else.
physically
Yeah.
am
Yeah.
feeling. So my stomach is feeling more and more full and not. I'm having lower back pain,
Mhm.
but I'm just uncomfortable. I'm just a little uncomfortable, but I love it because I'm like, this is the closest I'll ever feel to being pregnant. So like, I keep looking in
Mhm.
the mirror and like I thought it would be upsetting, and it kind of is because it does make me sad because I'm like, I really, really wish. Like, are you sure you can't just transfer it to me? But I like love feeling my body change
Mhm.
and knowing what this could evolve into. And
Mhm.
we even got pictures of my follicles. We got pictures of the ultrasound because we're not gonna have
Oh.
pictures of the ultrasound of our baby in my stomach. So we did
But
this.
this is like you are growing part of your baby in your
Yeah.
stomach right now. I mean,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
And so I also said to the doctor when we were back there, I said, I just wanted to thank you guys. So, and the doctor is very put together and she's so chic and just very, very professional. And I just said, I just want to say thank you because we've been told no so many times. I almost didn't even come here because I didn't want to be told no again. And I mean, we went in there and I'm watching TV on my phone and Mills is like, get off your phone and think about what questions you have. And I was like, I don't think I have any questions because it doesn't feel real.
Yeah. Mhm.
I don't have questions because it doesn't feel real that we're doing it.
Mhm.
And I said, until there are embryos, like, I just feel like I'm not gonna believe it. Like, I feel like it's an out of body experience and I'm talking about somebody
Mhm.
else. So, yeah. But
What
she
did she
basically
say?
so she smiled and she put her hand on my knee and said, gave me some reassurance and just, I broke a little bit into
Yeah.
I don't know. It just made me feel really comfortable and it just reaffirmed everything I already feel about this place. And mom and dad got to see it because the cavalry arrived. They came in
Yeah.
last night, and we took them to our favorite restaurant, Lumi, that we always go to when we're here. It's so good.
Nice.
And we ate more than we should have. And then we all worked on the puzzle last night. And we're going to go to our other favorite restaurant, Thai Pop, tonight. And mom and dad got to go see Mayo Clinic. And mom was just like crying,
Mm.
which also feels out of body for because I'm not connecting to physically what she's feeling because it doesn't feel real to me. If it was you, I would be a basket
Well,
case.
I honestly think, and I think this is what a lot of people probably have prayed for you, like of this, like other than your physical safety, is peace that surpasses all understanding. And honestly, like that is what I see in you because I mean, I was so worried about how much
So was
anxiety
I.
you were gonna have and like what that was gonna do with your blood pressure and the experience overall. And I mean, like, I'm so like, I mean, it makes me kind of emotional to talk about it because I'm just like seeing you like this at peace. And it's just honestly like, I don't want to say I was like negative Nancy, but it is like the opposite of what I thought that this was going to be like. And I know it's far from over and like like next week is a big week, but like I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Like I'm really so proud of you and I'm so excited for you too. Like
Well,
I'm so excited for you.
I really appreciate that. And a lot of that piece that makes no sense does make some sense because when I started to feel really sad because I love the way my body's changing, I started thinking about how it'll be you. And that's the closest that I could feel to feeling pregnant or getting to be pregnant. And like it just feels I'm just so much more at peace with surrogacy. And I don't know, we want more than one child ideally, and I don't know what we're going to do for the rest. So like I think this will help me become comfortable with the
Yeah.
idea.
Mhm.
And there are all these things that I thought about before when I was having to be at peace with surrogacy. Like it's like the baby shower. I want the baby to be at the baby shower, but then it's like this sounds crazy. But then does the pregnant person instead of the real mom get all the
Mhm.
attention because they're
Mhm.
the pregnant one? And that sounds crazy, but it is like something that like you just don't get to have when you're not carrying
Mm-hmm.
the baby. And then I also think about when you're out, if you're out somewhere with your surrogate and they congratulate your surrogate and it's your baby, or, they're telling the surrogate, congratulations, congratulations. But with you, I don't care because I'm like, is excited. When you say congratulations, she's like, we're doing it. Thanks.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I feel like
so,
we'll
and
talk about
I want you, not that I wouldn't want another surrogate to be celebrated, but I don't feel that sense of being left out when it's you at the baby shower because it's like, it's different. I don't even know how to put it into words, but it's different. And that's given me a lot of peace because if I didn't have that figured out, nothing they could tell me this week would make me feel better
yeah, right.
because I would be like, okay, we have an embryo. Where do we put it?
Right.
We have an embryo. What are we going to
Mhm.
do with it? And then I would
Mhm.
be more sad about the pregnancy aspect because feeling my body change does make me very sad. And it's been the first time in a while where I've been sad about not being able to be pregnant myself because really it's just been out of sight, out of mind. Like you don't know what you
Mhm.
don't have. Well, no, that's not true. I've actually been very depressed about it before, but I've been able to compartmentalize, but feeling my body change has made me be like, I wish. And it just, I don't know. This has brought me, Caitlin, you have brought me so much peace. And so it's like, regardless of what happens, regardless if it works out or doesn't work out, I'm able to have peace during this part because
Well,
of you and
I love
Brian.
you. I love
I love
you.
you a lot.
I love you a lot. And
And
I do feel like it's like, I mean, I didn't think that we could get any closer, but like, I feel like
I feel like we're only going to continue to get closer. All four of us, Brian and Mills as well.
yeah, they're along for the ride.
How do Brian's parents feel about it?
I mean, I think that, they're obviously, they've asked a lot of questions about you being just like concerned for your well-being and everything, like everyone is. And, but I mean, they're excited for, I mean,
Have you told them
just
that you
this
offered to be
whole,
a surrogate?
yeah.
How did they respond to that?
I mean, they like very positively. I mean, they were like, that's very like brave, but great.
That makes me feel
Like
so good.
it's, yeah.
I
I
love
don't
them.
like, I don't, I mean, I'm trying to think, but I don't think that there's been anyone that I've told that's been negative. I mean, there's people that have definitely expressed like just concern of like overall safety, like especially people that know, which is crazy that there are people that know me that don't know you. That just is so weird to me. But like people that know me that don't know you, definitely they feel the concern over like
For sure. I mean, I feel that
you know what
concern.
I
Yeah,
mean?
I feel, and
But like, but
yeah.
they still are like, everyone's still positive
And I have to keep reminding myself that surrogacy is so foreign to everyone because I never
Mhm.
even thought about it as an option. And so people are just going to have a lot of questions, not necessarily negativity, but just nobody has any idea. Like surrogacy,
And then
how
we'll
does
just
that
talk. I
work?
mean, we'll talk about it on here, and then if they have or negative and have questions or whatever, we'll just be like, tune in. You can
Yeah,
hear
or
about it.
send us your
'Cause
questions. We'll answer
yeah,
them. And I mean, I've had people say, well, would it be your baby, like my baby? And I'm like, yes, it would be my egg and then Mills' sperm created into an embryo, put in my sister or put in my surrogate.
and like honestly, even
If it,
that question just like infuriates me because it's like
even if it's a donor egg, even if it's
even if it's
adoption, it's my
it's your
baby.
baby. Like
And
that is
something else I've gotten to is like, oh, why don't you just adopt? And like, I want to be very loud and clear when I say adoption is not a backup plan or a band aid. Adoption is something you need to go into intentionally and say, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm fully feeling is in my heart and my prayers. And that's how you need to proceed. Mills and I aren't there yet, but I'm not saying we won't ever be or that we won't do it for our second child. This has all been a lot to process, or even maybe our first. I don't know.
yeah, right.
But I think it's really a disservice to mothers, women struggling with infertility, women who have put their kids up for adoption, and children who are adopted. Because it makes it seem,
Yeah.
when you say, why don't you just adopt? It's like you couldn't have a kid yourself, so just, adopt one. And that's not, when a mother adopts, she's not looking at it that way. It's just as if she birthed that child.
Yes.
And when a mother gives her child up for adoption, that's the most selfless thing that you can do. And it's not her just giving her child to another mom. That's not what it is at all. And so that's something that I've gotten a lot of that really annoys me. I don't mind encouragement to adopt, and I've collected all the information. I've met with adoption agencies, and we probably still will continue to do so. I've had a lot
So like
of
in your heart right now, you're like in your heart right now, what your desire is to pursue this to see what is your options are available. And you did like you've met with a lot of adoption people. Like you are doing a lot of the path to know what's out there.
And
I mean,
so
there's
many,
nothing wrong with. I mean, this is your journey to your family.
I don't know why I feel like I always have to explain myself. I think it's like, I don't know, but
Well, people just put their nose where they're like, it doesn't belong.
yeah. And boundaries are really important. And I've learned through this too that like boundaries aren't sacrilegious. They're actually really important. And to protecting your peace, the guard your heart because everything you do flows from
Yes.
it has become really important. Like who you surround yourself with, and at first I was kind of trauma dumping on everyone when this all first happened because I was just so in shock. And then I had so many people coming to me asking follow-up questions. And it was just exhausting because and it was nice that people cared, but it's exhausting because they're like, oh, I'm going to do surrogacy. So they're like, how's surrogacy gone? Never mind. And I don't want to have to update, like, I didn't want to have to update everyone individually about, oh, never mind. They said we couldn't do it because every time it's like a punch in the gut or I become even more numb. Whereas like doing this podcast, we're saying it out for everyone. And I can just give this podcast to anyone who has questions if they're interested.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important for people to know that like if anyone is listening that had talked to you during that time, like you didn't know a lot of answers. Like, I mean, you have more answers now than you ever have. But like there was a large part of this journey where you didn't have any answers or the answers were changing so frequently. And the way that you specifically deal with anxiety, which a lot of people do, is you get I feel like you kind of like you get almost like a little bit overwhelmed and defensive, which is fine, but that's just how it is. And like, if people took that personally, like that's not what it was. Like that's just like you were going through a very, very, very hard time, and like you didn't know the answers and trying to have to explain that, and like you're just figuring it out yourself. So
and like I wasn't keeping up with who I had told what to, and it was just a lot. And
and I think it's like you get almost like put on the defense because some people have said very things that are not very tactful. And like, it's like, we don't know the intention behind it. Hopefully the intention was good. But like when people ask you about like the religious aspect behind surrogacy and stuff, that's like, what are you like, why are you,
what are you
what are you
insinuating?
doing? Yeah. Like, yeah. So
and
I don't know.
It's just really interesting that people ask the things that they do. And sometimes it's out of interest. Sometimes it's out of, I don't know. But one of my favorite podcasts is Let's Be Clear, like Clearly Stated. And she said that you want to always assume the best because, and I really struggle with this, but you want to assume the best because like assume God is working and that like, well, God's always working, but assume people are, listening and that, assume the best. And so I've been kind of figuring out how to assume the best while guarding my heart because there's a balance.
Yeah. And I feel like I try to do that, but goodness gracious, when it comes to you though, I get so defensive about other people. Like
when it comes to this whole process, I've gotten really defensive because it's just so exhausting that's like the only emotion or only response I have left. But I will say that when Mills and I were packing up to leave the day before we left, my doorbell kept ringing and neighbors and a lot of my neighbors were just continually dropping off gift baskets, cards, just gift bags, coming by to see me. And some of them made dinner for me Friday night. Another group made dinner for me Monday or Tuesday night. I can't remember. And we played Mahjong, which I'm obsessed with. Mahjong has been, let me just give a shout out to Mahjong. It has been my therapy through this because like you have to be mindful when you play. And it is just something I have to focus on that.
I think that you are doing great. And then I thought it was really sweet. One of your neighbors made you that, like one of those tie blankets. And
yeah. She did.
Every night. What'd she say?
She prayed. So it was one of those tie blankets and she prayed over every tie. And she has a 6-month-old. And so someone did that for her. They knit a blanket and it meant a lot to her. And so she passed it forward. And I really do feel the prayers.
And
I
think that was another good thing that you guys drove because you had a lot of like puzzles and devotionals and coloring books and all kinds of good things that people sent with you to.
Snacks.
Yeah.
And we bought cases of ginger ale. And and I just really appreciate Mills too because he has been such an important support system. And you and I have talked about this. When somebody's in a toxic relationship, I just want to shake the girl because I'm like, life is going to hit you, or shake whoever the non-toxic one is. Life is going to hit you somehow, some way. And when it does, the romantics of like whatever made you attracted to that person are going to go out the window because you're going to need them to be there for you. And it's so important to marry your best friend. And marry someone that's going to continue because a best friend is somebody that will be there for you when it's inconvenient. Somebody that like Mills drive 2 days. And I know it's for us, but he's been so supportive of like, do you want to do an egg
Well, your
donor.
feelings that you've gone and
You
like,
wanna
the
do
emotions that you've
surrogacy.
had going through this, right. And,
Yeah.
and because I think too, like, because that's I was talking to Brian about it actually the other day, and we were saying, it would be like, when I said, "When you proposed to me, I obviously knew it was a huge decision, but honestly, at the time, I didn't realize the level of significance of
Yeah.
that decision, because now it's like, I mean, thankfully, I had never gone through anything, I mean, they were like, there's like the death of a grandmother. There's things that like are normal parts of life, like up to
Yeah.
that point that are hard. But I had never gone through anything that was like, I mean, I was very lucky. I'd never gone through anything that was very that hard, like up to that. And so everything that I know that I'm going to experience, like from now moving forward, is going to be with him. And that's going to be, I mean, raising children, like death of parents, like all those things are going to be with him. And it's like, you need a strong, loving partner that is going to meet you there and sometimes carry you
Yeah.
during those
Yeah.
times. And goodness gracious, like thinking about like sometimes when I got so upset about certain things
I
not
know.
working out, and now I'm
I'm
like,
like, thank
thank the
God.
Lord
Thank
it
God.
didn't. Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
God put
We're,
Mills in my life at the time when he knew I would appreciate him and be mature enough to
yes.
receive him. And
Hmm.
I'm just really grateful for that. But like,
Hmm.
it is worth the wait to wait
It
for a
is for
person
sure.
because when they say for better or for worse or sickness or in health, I mean, sickness,
Say it louder, like for worse, sickness. Yeah.
I mean, Mills is having to work. He's having to go to all these appointments with me. And I mean, I do my migraine shots once a month. I have to go to a rheumatologist. I have to go to a neurologist. I have a neurologist in Charlotte. I have one at Mayo Clinic. We've been to Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville and Rochester. We've been to
Hmm.
university hospitals in Ohio. Then we have just your normal doctor's visits. Like I get behind on scheduling my routine doctor's appointments because I feel like I'm always at the doctor. And
Hmm.
Mills is at so many of those appointments with me. Any appointment I want him to be at, he's there. It's more so he expects to go unless I say, you don't need to go to this one. And he's working a full time job that's, high stress. And he's someone that puts 110% into everything he does. So he's doing that while taking care of me. And so, it's very inconvenient, but he does it. And I naturally feel horrible about it. I feel so guilty. But I had a therapist tell me one time that when you're in a relationship, both people can't give 100% all the time. So, you might have somebody give 70 and somebody give 30, but that's going to switch at some point in life.
Hmm.
And so it's just like, you can't feel guilty for receiving help, but also as a caretaker, you got to still take care of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it seems like he does a really great job at both. I mean, like, and
Yeah.
watching him, like, when, I think you sent a video or we were FaceTime or something, and he was over there, like, watching a video on how to do the injections for
Yeah.
you and stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just really sweet. It's really sweet.
He's always chasing me with a water bottle, telling me to drink more
Yes.
water. And,
Always. Yeah.
he's just making sure I'm eating all my fruits and veggies. And
Yeah.
it's like little things like that that I sometimes get annoyed with. And I have to remember, like, this is a sign of love.
Yeah.
And it
When I think,
is
like, because, like, you want to feel like you're
normal.
independent and don't have to be taken care of, but,
Yeah.
like, you are independent, but you do need, I mean, everyone needs to be taken care of
But
and, like,
like
things
I
brought to
do
their
have a
attention, but you have
condition,
it. Yes.
but it just, like,
And
I
it is
just want
out
to
of
feel
love.
normal.
He just wants you to be healthy and
Honestly,
yeah.
he is you and mom. Like, if it wasn't him, it would be you or it would be
Yeah.
mom.
Yes. So we just need it, like, someone had to be there that loves you like we
Yeah.
do and could fill in that time when we're not there with you, and Mills is
Yeah.
just killing it.
He really is. And I'm also just really grateful for Brian too, that he's willing to do all this.
No, we don't. We definitely don't.
And, I think we're going to be talking about hard stuff on this, the transfer
Mhm.
and
'Cause, I mean, not everything is
gonna,
probably gonna be a good update.
yeah, but we're going to carry it together.
Yeah,
Not to be
absolutely.
cheesy, but we
We
really
are.
are.
We are. And then so you have more blood work
Yes.
tomorrow. And then what and then so the next update will be,
Post retrieval.
yeah, it will be post retrieval. All right. Well, we'll tune
That's
back
crazy.
in
Well, do
then.
you want to say what we're grateful for?
Yeah.
Do you want to go first?
So I'm grateful for your news that you have and that you gave today about the ultrasound and just kind of the overall peace and health so far that's been carried through this experience.
I appreciate that. I am grateful for all the support I've received from loved ones, friends and family, neighbors through this whole process, and people that have reached out to me that have gone through IVF that are like, try this trick. This helps it hurt less. People have been like, oh, have you started the PIO shots yet? Which is what you're going to have to take. I can't take them because of my vascular system is very sensitive to, they've shown that people with FMD or weak vascular systems have issues when it comes to menopause and pregnancy because of hormones. And so I can't take the PIO shots. But so many people have given me tips on, because apparently those are incredibly uncomfortable. And people have given me tips on how to make it more comfortable and what to do. And all of these things, they've just welcomed me into open arms with the world of IVF. And that's meant a lot. So I'm just thankful for the community that
Mhm.
has rallied around me. And it is just such a reminder that when I see someone going through something, rather whether it be on social media or in church, there's never too many people that can go up to them or send a message and say, thinking of you or praying for you,
Mhm.
because every single one
Matters.
matters.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm grateful
Well,
for.
that's good. That's a good one.
So next time we will be post retrieval.
All right. So prayers for health and lots of follicles, eggs that are healthy.
Yep. So
All
we'll
right.
see.
All right.
All
See you
right.
next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.